Hey everyone, I'm Rachel Martin, and this is Tasting Room Live. I am the owner and vintner of Oceana Wines. We produce premium Chardonnay and Pinot Noir from the extreme coast of San Luis Obispo, right outside of Pismo Beach. Very excited about our guest this evening. She's an incredible designer, artist, and her company is called at Sketch NYC. Let's welcome Lisa Bayer. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, thank you for
Welcome.
having me.
100%. It's so good to see you. Lisa is
Thanks.
a really awesome illustrator, designer, and a jewelry industry veteran. And Lisa also is a very good friend of mine. And we had Lisa on an Instagram live back when I first started doing lives. And now that we've moved to Facebook and YouTube, Lisa, I wanted to have Lisa back on. Plus, her work has developed over that time, which was pretty much the entirety of the pandemic. So, Lisa, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So, tell me, where are you based? And tell me a little bit to start, like how you got started with at Sketch NYC.
I'm based in NYC.
Shock.
Sketch NYC. I live in New York City. I pretty much grew up in or around New York City my whole life. I have worked always in some related field in the industry of jewelry and accessories. So I've represented designers, I've done sales, I've made private label programs for big box retail chains. And I've also worked in the retail industry, working in selling fine jewelry, designer luxury brands in places like Barney's. So I have a pretty strong background in fashion and jewelry. And then after being involved in that for many years and the powers of the universe with COVID and everything
Right.
happening, I took what was really a hobby and event for me, which was drawing, into it just became enigmatic and became a business now. So
Right.
that's what I've mostly been doing for the past year.
And I find that so interesting because your work is on a digital platform, whereas I'm sure you started drawing with a pen and paper or pencil and paper. So tell me a little bit about how the Apple Pencil became your tool for designing.
That's a good question. I always dabbled in drawing. I was never formally trained. Um, and well, it was actually in 2018, I started picking it up and thinking I would, do a drawing every night. And it was really hard to actually depict what I was thinking of drawing, which was mostly faces and things of that nature, portraits, I guess you would say. And someone I worked with, a jewelry designer who worked in a lot of like Illustrator and CADs and things like that, he recommended that I get an iPad Pro and that I start using a program called Procreate, which I had no idea what he was talking about. And he said, I'll show you like the basics. So I did what he suggested so I got an iPad and an Apple Pencil. And it was really liberating because it has an undo button. So you can,
Right
you can
on.
just be like, I don't like that. I also have access virtually to every type of brush, texture, color, all that kind of stuff, which I would need a whole studio to be able to have. And just was really liberating and I just learned how to use it, and I still am learning. It's been 3 years. There's still many things that I could do that I don't know how to do yet, but
Right. Well, frankly, it keeps like evolving the programs and everything. So even though there are people maybe more proficient, they're still learning too. And that kind
That's
of
a
like
good point.
goes with wine. Like in wine, we're always learning, and I think that goes the same with art too. And I was thinking maybe we could show a couple examples of your work and talk about your inspirations, your motivations, and yeah, so we'll just, here we go.
Okay,
We'll
thanks.
start with this one, and your
Okay.
mic will still be on, and you can just talk right through it.
Okay. Great.
These are beautiful.
Thank you so much. Well, the first one and the one in the center, kind of good examples of those faces and portraits that I like to do. And they all reflect something either in, basically with fashion. So you see a lot of jewelry or eyewear. I made a crown on the girl on the left because it was 4th of July. And it was a fun way to celebrate on Instagram the holiday. But the one on the right is also just an ode. It's actually one that I am nodding to, kind of ripping off a logo from Louis Vuitton and merging it with a design that has sold really well for me, the leopard lips. And it's just like a fun thing for someone who's into fashion. They kind of gravitate towards stuff like that. It's not something I do often. I don't really like to use logos so much, but I thought this was kind of fun. So that's what that
Yeah, and the
is.
colors are really like they pop, and that's really attractive.
Thank you. And also, I feel like the logo's hand done, so it's not obvious and it's a little flawed and it's not perfect. I mean, one thing is I'm not like I don't use Photoshop or any kind of, I don't know how to use a lot of programs as one who is a graphic artist might use. So I'm not necessarily that perfect. Everything's always a little skewed, a little askew. So
Sounds familiar.
the
And then
best accidents. Yeah.
the one on the middle.
Yeah, I just am really attracted to drawing women with sunglasses and eyewear on because there's something I love the way you can create this translucency and see their eyes kind of peeking out through the glass. And she happens to be a woman of color. I really have had to make a conscious decision to stay conscious and make sure that my work stays diverse and reflects all different kinds of women and complexions because they're so overlooked in fashion. And I mean, it's getting better, but
Yeah, I totally agree.
yeah.
And I've noticed that about your work. But there are some what I would call heroes in that you um, represent in your work, and some of them being the heroes to me, I guess. It all depends on
Thank
your
you.
perspective. So like these are, yeah, tell me a little bit about like the idea behind why you are illustrating these particular women.
Well, I mean, to be perfectly frank, a lot of my clients and business comes through Instagram. And when something important is happening in pop culture or all socio, out there in the world, it behooves me to pay attention. Some things I don't take on because first of all, for some reason, I don't like drawing men. I don't enjoy it. Nothing against men. I have a son. I love men. It's just that I don't like drawing them. And but whenever there's something topical that has to do with a woman, it really boosts my exposure. To be really honest,
Hmm.
so in the photograph, the drawing on the left is of Shakari Richardson, who, I felt really bad for. She's the
Same.
Olympic runner who was banned from the Olympics for using cannabis. And
It's like, who
so,
cares? Like, I don't even get it.
yeah, I mean, I get there's rules, but the rules are so discriminating that I feel like she's just, now, like you called her a hero or a heroine for this cause now. Like, I really feel like it's opening up, unfortunately, at her expense. I think it's opening up everyone's eyes to how ridiculous some things are. So,
Hmm.
she's a hero in that respect. And I hope that she gets to start competing again. And it's just really sucks. I've heard thousands and thousands of people have signed a petition, athletes, celebrities, politicians, like so many people. So, and then the one on the far right is a model in a Jeremy Scott recent fashion show. And I just, there's nothing really special about her except I do like to capture what's going on the runways in the fashion world, especially since last year we had no fashion runway shows. So this really attracted me, the color, her hair and her coloration and everything. So that was the Jeremy Scott show. He also designs Moschino. It was like really novel and funny and talented. And the
Um,
center one, oh,
mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, let me interrupt you for a second.
Mhm.
We have a question, and I encourage everyone to ask questions who are
Okay.
watching. I imagine some take longer than others, but how much time do you typically invest in doing an image?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Well, that's because it's
Um,
from Todd Wernstrom.
well, there's an amazing thing about this Procreate program, which is you can look at the statistics of your drawings. It will tell you how many hours and minutes you've spent working, physically working, not just you had it open, but that you were working on that piece. It'll also tell you how many literal strokes. So when there's
Wow.
a Yeah. So when there's a client saying, can you please change this? Could you please change this? Can you please change this? Having come from private label, I'm happy to do it. I expect that to happen. But at least I can look at something and be like, this should take 4 hours. And I've worked on it for 10 hours. So now I really need to say something. And I have proof. Um,
Right.
Things take several hours usually. And
Yeah.
I try to work in the evenings to have a few things that I can post the following day because I try to post every day. So, yeah, it
That's a
could
lot of
take
time.
anywhere from 1 to 3 hours. It depends on if it could be 1 to 3 hours usually, I would say.
And so when you said client, so tell us about how you sell your art, and are you commissioned? How do people get in touch with you at Sketch NYC on Instagram? So everyone, you can find Lisa on Instagram, and she'll be developing other channels soon. But so tell us, like, how do people order from you?
When I grow up, I'll have other channels. um, well, on Sketch NYC on Instagram, you can DM me, private message me. You can also press email me, and I do have a website, but it's not ecom, and it's hasn't been updated, so don't even look at that. That's next on the list. However, I do get requests for all kinds of things. I when I first really ramped up last fall, I saw that about 20% of my sales were commissioned pieces that people had requested. Like, for example, a jewelry designer who wanted to gift their top clients wanted their designs done on a glass tray, which is something that I started developing in the fall, and which looks
Yeah,
something like,
show us the trays.
okay, this is a Kamala, but I started doing this really for fun during COVID when I was doing prints that, for the wall. Like this is something that I actually have.
Who's that?
That's
Farah.
my Farah. So she's 20 by 20 and she's mounted under like in thick acrylic. That's why she's so glossy, but I do framing and stuff like that for people. So I evolved into the tray thing and people were gifting them. And so customization became a really big part of my business model. And so, for example, somebody's pet passed away, and so their best friend wanted to send her something that she could look at every day. So this is her dog. What's her dog? Um,
And that's a
I've
tray.
done, yeah. So this is glass. Sometimes
So it
people think
looks
it's acrylic.
it looks
Yeah.
like you have multiple sizes. So
So
do
I
you
do have
do
multiple sizes. They
custom?
range, yeah, they range usually from a 6 by 6, like bedside size, 5 by 7, rectangular bedside kind of size, and then larger. This is a larger one that you might put on a coffee table or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you can.
love it. Love
Thank you.
it. Yeah, and so you said you do canvas as well, and
Yeah, I
you
can print.
are
I do
uh
acid free, like museum quality, beautiful prints that people order or they'll request. Like I just did this really great custom Dolly Parton for someone, and we collaborated a lot on her hair, like which decade Dolly, and what she'd be wearing Dolly, and the whole thing. It came out really great. So
yeah, so that sounds like a lot of fun, like that's
family portraits, yeah, it's totally fun. It's
like
fun.
that sounds like a great collaboration with the client right there, trying to figure out like what decade Dolly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I just want to go back to this slide, and I'm fascinated with the story of the woman in the center. Can you tell us about her?
Well, yes, that is a model featured in a show recently by a designer called Pyre Moss. He's an African American designer, grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn with nothing. And he's like a very celebrated designer now. And he was the first Black designer to be invited to do a couture show by the syndical, whatever, de Paris, whatever. And it's like a big deal. So he put on this amazing show, which, as usual for him, incorporated live music and singing and very uplifting, like almost like a church, experience. But what he did was every outfit resembled the invention of a Black American that no one really knows about. So in this case, so it was very costumey, and it was almost like you overlooked the clothes because of all of the contraptions that the models were kind of wearing. And he was a little bit called out for it. He really did an amazing job with his vision. And the people who were watching this all over the world were like really uplifted by the fact that the Black culture was being recognized and celebrated. But there were some snarky people I noticed saying, well, this could have been executed better, and this is a little sloppy and things like that. And so I just I thought it was very important to show this. I just chose this one because I loved it. This model's wearing hundreds and hundreds of curlers because it was held at a manor in upstate New York that was originally built and by a woman who was the first female millionaire who just invented Black hair products. So she had lost her hair and needed something for herself, and she had some ailment. And this is like, we're talking about like 1900, late 1800s, early 1900s, and she was the first female millionaire, and nobody knows about her.
Yeah, that's insane. And what is her name?
Her name is C.J. Walker, although she was born as Sarah Breedlove
Oh,
because her
wow.
parents were recently freed slaves. That she was like first generation.
It's
And it's just,
incredible.
you know, it's just I just thought it was important, to share this story because this is, what they're talking about, like critical race. Like we don't know these stories, like they don't teach us this in
Right.
school. So
Well, it's so inspiring, for any woman, to learn about the first female millionaire, and she being a person of color is even more inspiring. And so I appreciate that about your work. Seems like you're
thanks.
always topical, you're always current. How do you like stay current? Like, what do you are you always like looking at current events? Are you always looking at like fashion, you know,
Well, some of it's
accounts or
frivolous. Some of it is not. Like some of it is just like I'll be like, I need to draw some crazy girl with. Some of it's frivolous. Some of it is. I just am obsessed with fine jewelry, and I draw a lot of fine jewelry. And I feel like there's fine jewelry designers are kind of like they really lack and love and need the attention. They love working with somebody like me. So that's been really great. And there's no story to, maybe there's some historical thing about it, like, but it's the biggest diamond in the world or something like that. But
right?
other than that, I just, things pop up. I look at Instagram probably way too much. I don't really get anything from so much, the actual news. I get it more from like the fashion industry because the fashion
Right.
industry is becoming very politically minded, and they're calling people out. There's certain accounts on Instagram where they really are calling people out now for misappropriation and things like that. So when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, that was like sort of a no-brainer, and I drew her, and it was the number one seller for months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just comes from all over.
Well, you not only sell online, you also have retail accounts. So can you tell us
Oh yeah.
about, yeah, where people can find your work in store? And I know you have something really big coming up at Bergdorf Goodman. So tell us about that too.
Well, yeah, I was selling direct to consumers through Instagram, and they were paying retail directly through me. And then a couple of retail stores asked me if I wholesaled my merchandise, the glass trays we're talking about. And it hadn't really occurred to me. And I thought, you just say yes and then you figure it out.
Figure it
So
out.
that's,
That's what we do. When you're an entrepreneur and you're like forging your own path, it's like called FITFO, figure it the F out. You just get it done.
oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that? Or
No,
is that a
no, I did.
thing?
It's a thing.
Fit.
FITFO,
Okay, I might have to make that on a train. So
right?
anyway, yeah, I was like, yeah, I can do that. And with my background, I knew that I knew some things. I knew I had to run a little production situation, even though I was running it out of my apartment.
Mhm.
I knew kind of how it needed to be. I'd been around it, and I knew I had to send an invoice, and I knew I had to, things like that. So yeah, and then I thought, well, if I wonder if I reach out to a few retail stores that I like, if they would be interested. And it was just great timing because the holidays were coming and everything. And then recently, I opened a store in Los Angeles called Kitson, and they actually just placed a great reorder last night, and they commissioned a lot of designs that they want as well. So those are kind of
Awesome.
interesting. They're really irreverent. Um, but then the best news was when someone introduced me to the VP of the decorative home, fine jewelry, and children's department at Bergdorf. And, we just really hit it off. And in the fall, they have plans, kind of like a comeback. Not that they need, not that they need to make a comeback, but just the fact that it's going to be the fall, New York's back, people are going to be back from the summer and shopping again and feeling safe and being healthy. So they have plans, and they've invited me to participate in that. So that will launch in September on the 7th floor.
Right. And these are
So I'm really
exclusive.
excited.
These are exclusive designs just for Bergdorf, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Uh,
They will have a few designs that I already have that they chose, but most of them were ones that we worked on, basically, that
well,
are just available there.
I love this about both of our brands is that Bergdorf sells our wine too.
We're
So
both gonna be. I know. I
we're
can't
both,
wait to go and toast there with your
yeah.
wine, and it's gonna
So
be
at the
great.
opening, I'll be there, please. And then we'll go and
It'll be so
celebrate
fun.
by having Oceano Chardonnay at Bergdorf Goodman.
Everyone's asking
100%.
me, "Aren't you excited?" I can't believe that, and I'm just, I have so much going on in my head about it because I've been through, I just need to see it through. Everything's going great and everything will be
Yeah.
great, but I'm just in the moment of like, it's not there. They're being made right now. And, there's so many steps to take till it's like literally there. So, which it will be in September. So I'm just really reserved about it. I haven't shown
Yeah.
anybody anything. I haven't really
Yeah.
told anybody except now I'm telling them.
Now, hello. But let's talk about where you have your trays made, who makes it, what makes them special, why are your trays superior to what you might just casually find?
Well, I have done a lot of resourcing in my previous career with overseas production. Everything that we made was made overseas. And, there were a lot of things that needed to be checked constantly. There were factory audits. There were lots of things that, we had to be compliant about, and our factories needed to comply with. Um, but, it was made overseas. And so, be fighting over pennies and stuff like that. And so, of course, the quality of what we did reflected that, because that's what, everyone, it is what it is.
Hmm.
So it's disposable practically. So in this situation, I wanted to make sure they were made here and in the US, I mean.
Hmm.
And so I found a resource, and then I found another. I mean, people ask me from time to time, like, "Oh, where are you making these?" And I'm like, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you.
That's proprietary.
So I'm not telling you anything more. I will tell you that they're glass and they're like heat sublimated. So the ink and is basically like infused in the glass. So there's no collage or decoupage or there's nothing. It's like really seamless.
Hmm.
So they're really beautifully made. And I've seen acrylic ones. I've seen things, inserted in the bottoms where they, you know, look kind of crafty, which I really wanted to avoid. So
Yeah, totally, totally. You want to look like super professional, and I'm
yeah, and
sure,
if it's
please.
sorry, no, I was just gonna say, like right now, this time of year, it's very humid, and it's affecting the printing of them. So, I'm not literally the one printing them, but my partners, meaning my not my business partners, but the ones who are literally the makers of them, they're being really sensitive and saying, like this is not easy thing to do when it's this humid. There's a lot of interesting things about the process of making them that I didn't even know about once I got, started. So
Well,
just
that's
want this
yeah,
to to
Yeah, for Bergdorf, it's got to be the best, right? So no mistakes. Yeah, so I want everyone to know that we're going to follow Lisa Bear at Sketch NYC on
Thank
Instagram. I just
you.
want to make sure that everybody knows that. I'm going to show one more slide of some of your work, and maybe we could just talk briefly about them.
Okay, so these are three very different slides. So the gentleman on the left is someone, again, you asked me where I find these people or current events. I don't remember how he came to my attention, but he happens to be a gentleman who I saw profiled in a magazine, I think. He lives in Germany. He's a soccer or football, as they would say in Europe, coach with a wife and grandchildren. And he just happens to love wearing like women's clothes and high heels and everything. I just was so struck by this man because he just defies all stereotypes. And
I
I
find it
thought it was
really
so,
empowering.
yeah, I did too.
Yeah,
I mean, I thought it was just very empowering. And
yeah.
I can't,
Like you
oh,
don't
I'm
have
so
to
sorry.
be like, if you wear heels, it doesn't mean you're like gay or whatever. It's just what you choose to do. And because labeling, frankly, just totally sucks, and this
Yeah.
person is just defying that. And that's what struck me about the image.
Especially someone his age, um, because I know lots of teenagers and millennials, and I may be older than they are, but I hear all about, there's just so many ways of describing yourself, or someone now, that it's almost confusing sometimes. But so someone might say, well, you should refer to him as they, because he likes to dress like a woman. But it's like, no, this guy's a dude. Like, he is this man is like a man, and he loves to wear not just women's shoes, but like he wears these very chic like suits to work, but there's a skirt instead of a pair of trousers. It's
So cool.
fascinating.
So
Yeah, he's
cool.
really cool. So
Yeah.
that was him. He lives in Germany, and his name escapes me, but I'm sure if you Googled like German cross
Soccer coach.
dressing soccer
Soc-
coach, football coach,
Done. You've got it.
you'll find him. And then the centerpiece is a chopard multi-gem cuff that was just seen on the Cannes runway, the red carpet, which is a runway,
Gorge.
right? Red carpet
Yeah.
runway. And I just thought it was so gorgeous. It's just opals and all these beautiful gems.
Mhm.
And it's like a paisley design. So I thought it was really
Yeah, I
pretty.
like
And
that a lot, that it was a paisley design. I thought that was really cool.
yeah, it looks like it would be really comfortable on, also
Hmm.
there's an actress, Jessica Chastain, who was wearing it, and it just looked really great. And then the final one on the right is Farah, who you can see by now I'm a little obsessed with, except this is part of a campaign for a jeweler located in London called Robinson Pelham. And they were launching a new collection called Arcadia. And it was their idea to have three iconic women that they really loved in this campaign. So it was Farah, Blonde, Debbie Harry, and Grace Jones. And she's draped in their jewelry, like they do all sorts of cool, luxury fine charms and beads and things like that. So that's what that's from. And I believe it's still, I think they use it on their website. So it's called Robinson Pelham, and they have a retail store in London, and they sell to other stores. And they're just three really cool ladies. So
And
that's,
so you also do illustrations for magazines. We
yes, I
forgot
do.
to talk about that.
I mean, I
A-
don't normally, and it's happened a few times. I have a few for
And
a
how did
couple of,
that happen? Did they find you from your Instagram? So amazing. It's like
yeah. So
just keep at it, like keep posting your work, keep blah blah blah. And it's like people are going to, if you're consistent, it's going to count and people are going to find you. And it's all about like consistency. And even, with that goes right into the wine industry as far as marketing for wine. In my experience, the more consistent you are, the more results you get. But also, don't get disenchanted in the beginning if, say, you're building a following and it's not getting there as fast as you thought it might, or whatever. If you just stick to it, it builds, and people do discover you.
so true, Rachel. I
Yeah.
mean, I really, really, I didn't set out to do anything. All I wanted to do is like draw something every day and see what came of it. And so it's true. I mean, it's been 3 years, and it sounds like such a long time, but really went by so fast.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just have to
right.
stick
Well,
to it. You have to be consistent.
and it's even funny, even though the pandemic was felt like 10 years or whatever, all of a sudden, like it just got accelerated. I don't even know how to explain it. Like you're in it and it feels like it takes forever, but then it's like like time passes quickly at the same time. I don't know. It's just this weird
So
time
weird.
warp, time
Capsule
travel
thing.
type of thing. I don't even
Yeah,
get
it's
it.
like we were frozen, all we were just kind of like frozen in time. Everything just stopped. It's like the Twilight Zone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It was so
Um,
weird.
well, we're Lisa, is there anything before we close that you'd like to plug or talk about?
I really don't have anything to plug. I
Besides
hope that,
Bergdorf.
yeah, believe me, you're going to be so sick of me when I ship that order. You're going to be hearing Bergdorf all the time. But
Yeah.
I just would love for anyone watching to just check out Sketch NYC on Instagram, not for any other reason than to just maybe like enjoy the work. There's a lot of color. It's fun, I think, to look at. And, I always love getting feedback. And, other than that, nice to get to know you too as well. So that's basically how that's how I would leave things.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on the show.
Thank you for
Your
having me.
Tasting Room Live airs every other Tuesday. And so we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And everyone, take care, stay safe, be kind, and, um, you know, tell people around you that you love them, and just live, live positive lives. So let's do this together. Bye,
Great
Lisa.
advice.
Yeah, see you soon.
Bye.
Okay. Love you.
Bye. Thanks. Love you too.
Bye.